welcome back to another game of Netrunner. I have with me Eric commenting, who's playing on the left side of the screen. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
I'm doing well. Excited to see some more Netrunner here.
Yeah, and let's do the quick beginner. So first, Andrew is playing on the right. He's playing Argus, and Eric is playing Max. Andrew did take a mulligan. You kept, right?
I did keep. I think I have a really good opening hand, which will become evident right away.
Okay. And this is also, we should mention right off the start, this is a game from January 10th, so it was pre-Most Wanted list, but these were both Most Wanted list decks, I believe, right?
That is correct, yep.
Yeah. Okay, so your opening is 2 Sure Gambles, a Daily Cast, and what is that other? Oh, that's Trope.
Trope. So turn 1 Trope is not so bad. That's actually going to get a decent amount of counters, which is nice.
Yeah, Trope in Max, really frustrating to play against. I've played against this deck, and that Trope ends up doing a lot of work for you. And Andrew here, I think he just took 5 credits. Oh, he took, I think he drew, took a credit, and Sure Gamble. Hedge Fund. All right, you guys are moving quick. So it looks like you milled out Corroder, and what is that? Is that Fester?
That's Wildside. So,
okay, Wildside.
You know,
I'm
problem
used to seeing
with Max
the alt art
is...
Wildside, I think.
Yeah. I don't have all the old, alt arts. My Corroder is alt art, but...
Yeah, that must have been a recent acquisition, because I know this was early. Oh, yeah, you have the playmat from the winter tournament.
Yeah, exactly. Can we talk about these playmats for a second? We have a couple gorgeous playmats from recent store champs on the right there, which Andrew won.
Andrew, I think the day before this tournament, had won the store championship in Santa Clara, California, which is just north of... This is Games of Berkeley. I should have mentioned that as well. This is just the January game night kit. We do a monthly tournament there, and Andrew had good luck at the tournament the day before down in Santa Clara. Was the store champion down there. So he did great. Got his mat. I think he's playing different decks than what he was playing for that championship, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't take Argus.
Right. I know he took Kate. He had a slightly different take on prepaid Kate. He wasn't doing Most Wanted for that because it was not required, and why would you give yourself that disadvantage?
Right. Yeah.
But this tournament, he was testing out the Most Wanted stuff. So you hit in a Enigma for click... I guess that was click 3 you ran, or click 4?
That was click 3 that I ran, and then I lost the last click. So we're basically just both setting up our boards. I'm getting some money. I don't have any breakers yet. Andrew has a bunch of ice and a bunch of money. I'm definitely cognizant of Seasource Scorch, as you always are against Weyland. So I'm trying to stay pretty even on money there. It's hard to tell. Looks like I have 17. Oh, I just spent a bunch to install Yogg. So free access to HQ with Imp is pretty good, and it turns out to steal an agenda.
Well, so you're deciding if you want to Imp, I think? You were kind of taking your time, or maybe you were just thinking ahead to the Argus decision, right?
Exactly. I was thinking about the Argus decision. I'm definitely going to take that. It looks like we are pretty even on money right now. I can't tell if those upside down ones are ones, right?
Yeah, so the 5 is on top, and then he has 6 1s, so he's sitting at 11. So you're up 1 credit on him.
Yeah. And here, so I took the damage, actually, and I think this is a pretty good matchup for me, and I'm going to take the damage almost exclusively. I think Argus wants you to take the tag, because that leads to a lot of click compression. You can't run last click. It's just really annoying. Whereas I've had worse in this deck, and I'm going to try to get it to trigger off of that damage, so it essentially becomes a benefit. That's my general strategy against Argus. And we see me there imping a patch, which is not a card that you may have seen out of Order and Chaos. Andrew was pointing out that would have
patched
gone right on
Enigma that turned before.
Yep.
Just shut this down. But he didn't know you'd have Yogg in hand to throw down.
Yeah. So that's an easy decision to imp because it keeps my HQ access open.
And that weird-looking card is the new Jackson Howard alt art. So he installs Jackson, uses Jackson, and installs something over the Enigma. So he decides to keep the Enigma there. And my guess would be because he has Archer in the deck, so he can threaten that later when he installs another ice there or scores an agenda or what have you.
Yep. That's always kind of an interesting tell, right? When people choose not to wipe the code gates after you install Yogg. I saw that a lot in another recent tournament, and it kind of tells me, like I saw it in HB, and it tells me that they're probably trying to do some kind of rig wipe with CVS and Ichi or Marcus Batty and Next Gold, something like that. But
I was just going to mention the other possibility would be that he's going to wait for another patch, and so he just patched the Enigma up to 4 strength, right outside of your range.
Yep. So I didn't really avoid that Enigma for long.
You got a couple axes. You scored a couple points off of it. That was worthwhile, and you're just a data sucker away from getting back in. So.
Yep. Exactly.
So it looks like you dropped a Deja Vu and another Daily Cast. And this is nice. We know we're 5 turns in because... Or I guess this would be 6 turns in because of the trope counter. We see 5 on there.
Yep, that's correct.
So do you do 1 levy in this deck?
I actually do 2 because what we're going to see here... So you see the Chronotype and the Faust there, as well as Inject. This list is meant to use Faust almost exclusively, and it gets a ton of draw with Wildside Chronotype plus Max. So when that's set up, you're burning through 5 cards each turn, and you really need the 2 levy, or there's just no hope of winning a long game.
Right. Yeah, that's an obscene amount of card draw. You said you do I've Had Worse as well?
Yeah, I've had worse. I have Inject. I have Wildside. It's a little bit silly, honestly. I think I went a bit overboard, and we're going to see some ridiculous plays in this particular game. But it does.
But you have do you have like 2 copies of Trope?
I think I do. I think I have 2 copies of Trope. Yep. So that's like more recursion, more stuff to get my cards back. I really found out that Faust is incredibly powerful playing this deck because I used it just to break absolutely everything. And when you're drawing 3 cards for free every turn, you're able to do that. So it's quite powerful.
Going into R&D here, and you'll see a Spiderweb. That is perfect. You run Parasites, right?
I don't actually think I have a Parasite in this list, so it is post MWL.
So you needed the influence.
Yeah, a lot of the influence is locked up in those 2 levy, obviously. I think I made some silly choices in this deck list. It was just kind of an experiment. I have E3 feedback, which I never installed this entire tournament, as Andrew scores a hostile takeover out of hand.
Because you didn't need it. You had plenty of cards. You never needed to spend your credits on Breaking Ice.
Like when you're like injecting and drawing 3 cards a turn, it turned out to not be necessary.
Is it just 1 copy of E3?
Yeah, and actually we just saw it milled. So
right. So that's E3 is like, even if it's useful, you're probably not going to Deja Vu for it.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem worth it. And here I inject. I get Wildside, which is what I'm looking for. You can tell I installed the Chronotype there, presumably just to have it. But unfortunately, I've trashed. I think that's the last copy of Faust. I'm pretty sure there's at least 1 other in there. Also trashing both Davids with that inject, which is problematic because he just scored Hostile Takeover, which almost certainly is going to be sacrificed to Archer, right? That's what that card says to you. So right now I'm considering how I can get those programs back, and I think I'm going to pop this trope is what'll happen.
Okay, yeah, your deck is getting low there too, so Wildside will help accelerate that, and you could hit the trope to get the exact programs you need.
Exactly, yeah. So my plan is going to be to use... Oh, it looks like I found another trope to replace the one that I'm going to use. Yep, so I
and you're using the trope right now. So take 6 cards and put them, shuffle them back in your deck, right?
Exactly. So I found that trope is quite good for these kind of tactical uses where you wait for your deck to get fairly low, and then you shuffle back in a bunch of the cards that you really want to see, giving you a very high probability of drawing them next turn. So I'm going to draw 3 cards and mill 2. I'm just hoping that I'm going to get a Faust in there. I'm going to get a David in there.
Right.
And I think what I shuffle back here is both of the David, 3 Faust, and I've Had Worse.
Yeah, you're deciding on the last one. Yeah, you got it. I've had worse. Yep.
Yep.
I'm trying to looking at Andrew's board state here. HQ is looking pretty good. R&D is pretty annoying for you. Like he knows that you need to get Faust out to deal with it. The remote is the question here, and he doesn't have a lot of time on the remote because for Weyland, like you usually don't have a lot of defensive upgrades. You kind of just need to start scoring stuff out, and then hopefully the threat of Archer slows down the runner.
Yep. And Andrew clearly took your advice there because he has figured out that the time to score is now, and he goes and rushes for that with me only having Yogg installed. And there's basically no hope of me getting into that remote. I'm gonna say it depends on what I draw next turn, but
oh no, I think you have a really good
secure
shot here. I mean, you need to get David and or Faust, and I think you're fine. I think throwing Faust down here and just running is totally reasonable. So here is the mill. There's one Faust and a daily cast. So you might have drawn the other Faust.
Yep. So we'll see. Looking in my hand, I see that I have an I've had worse. Okay, so the fact that I play that means that I'm definitely digging for Faust here. I did not draw it.
Oh, no.
Initially.
Yeah, you need to get it because like.
So I have like 10 cards in hand right now or something. It must be. Yeah, I think that might be right. It could be 11.
Oh man, you also have like a legwork in hand. You have so much good. Yeah, you have about what 4 cards left in deck.
Yeah. So that'll get milled out next turn.
Oh, you got it.
Yep, I did get it. I throw it on the table because I'm kind of upset that it took that long.
So I think that was your second click. I think your first click was I've had worse, and then install, and now third click you can run down this remote.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm considering my options here. The other thing is counter pressure with legwork is really appetizing. So while he is invested in scoring in that remote and basically can't do anything the next turn, that maybe sets up a juicy legwork play for me. So that's a debate. I have Same Old Thing installed, so I'm not worried about losing my levy. I should be able to levy no matter what. I'm counting cards that I want to throw away.
Yeah, you can definitely let him score here, because like you're saying, you're so set up for the late game at this point.
Yeah, this is pretty much my end game board state. I think against Weyland, you ideally want to see Corroder as well, but not enough so that I'm going to do any kind of like Same Old Thing for Deja Vu to get it or something. Though that is a possibility.
You could just wait and get it after the levy. Oh, you are doing the legwork.
Okay, so I do decide to do this.
The ice wall.
So yeah, he does the terrifying ice wall res, which is going to cost me a card.
So that is the alt art ice wall. Yeah, so you could Faust through that, and then you're going to have to boost Faust to get through the Enigma. I think this is your third click.
Yeah, it is my third, because I've had worse Faust legwork. And now I'm debating whether or not I just lose the click. I don't think I want to, because obviously playing against Argus is a little dangerous. What if I hit a bunch of agendas and I have to take a tag? What if I hit a snare?
And it looked like, was that knifed?
I discarded knifed. I have this frustrating thing where I always end up discarding knifed like right after breaking a barrier. That's just how it always happens.
You'll get it back later.
Yeah.
So access. Okay, that'll trash. Get rid of Ghost Branch.
Yeah,
Andrew and his Ghost Branch. He loves that.
That was kind of scary for me. Yes. And then I saw a second one. So I was like really happy with this legwork.
Okay, so you're going to take the Argus hit here, but you're up to 4. He's sitting at 1 point. Looks like he'll probably score another couple at the end of this turn. But man, you destroyed his hand.
Yeah, I just wiped out his hand. I actually think this is quite a big turning point. I had no idea he was on Ghost Branch. I'm taking some damage here because I've had worse in hand. So that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. I'm going to do that throughout this game, is try to trigger I've had worse by tactically keeping it in my hand and then taking the Argus damage. So I drew like 9 cards this turn.
That sounds
on,
right.
on one click. Like,
Oh no, and you also have Levy. Wow.
yeah, so it looks like I drew into my second copy of Levy. I actually think that might have been the one card he didn't damage when I took
okay.
those 2 damage. And it looks like I'm just going to pop Levy right now.
Yeah.
The reasoning for that being, I think I had like 1 card left in my deck, and I want to be able to benefit from Wildside and Max next turn. Plus, I know there's no pressure on me next turn. He's just going to score that agenda, which he does. So triple advances it out, and now I'm all set up to start burning through my deck again.
Yeah, and he didn't have, and I was thinking, oh, he could have like tried to scorch you there or whatever, but he didn't have that threat.
Right. I was considering that as well. When I access, you can tell I debate what to do with the Argus ability, and he had just 1 card left in his hand. So my thinking was that there's basically no way he can kill me from that. It would have to be like Sea Source, and he draws into Scorch, and then
Yeah, from there he has no play though.
Yeah, you would have to click to draw something, and there's nothing in the world that can.
And also
can
in that
it.
legwork, you had an imp counter, so if you saw a Scorch Earth, whatever, it would also just be eliminated from that threat.
Exactly. Yeah, and imp is largely my solution to powerful operations, and it was just beautiful for me during this tournament. I imped mid-seasons, I imped psychographics, biotic labor. It was really, really valuable.
Yeah, I'm feeling that Andrew needs to do something big here. He needs that Ghost Branch back. If he had if you didn't get the Ghost Branches just then, he could install Advance next turn, like looking like he's desperate or he's double archering or something.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that could have opened something up for him for sure.
Yeah, that's very true. And that's why I think that was such a pivotal legwork. Honestly, the agenda was just kind of icing on the cake, but the fact that I got rid of those traps, which I had no idea was part of his game plan, was really, really valuable. And he was going to make me run through the scoring server just to eat a trap, right? Like, this isn't PE where there's no ice. So that was a huge turning point.
Yeah, you would have been paying to get through Archer and take in a couple tags for your effort.
But Andrew is just unperturbed here, and he puts another ice on it and just puts another agenda in the scoring server and is ready to go. So he's really playing aggressive here, and he's making it so that I'm going to have to run that remote. I'm going to have to find a way in there.
So each Archer costs you 2 to boost and another 3 cards?
Yeah, it's going to cost 5 cards. I'll let him take the 2 credits, most likely.
Yeah, sure. But he's threatening here, I think, is what he's threatening is double Archer and or something like a Spiderweb mixed in, something to cost you cards.
Yeah, I can't say that double Archer was really on my mind as I inject here. So I see Sure Gamble, another inject. Andrew points out that I have to discard the David, which is kind of
he
important.
Saw right through your BS.
Yeah,
He's like, no,
it's
sir.
Well, I'll just install this David now. I'm not too concerned about double Archer because I think it would be a big loss for him to sack the 2-point agenda there, Oaktown Renovation to it. He could do that, but honestly, I'm running just a 1-breaker entire suite in Faust, right? So when he trashes things, I'm just going to reinstall it in a couple turns. It's probably not going to be worth it.
At the same time, I don't think he has another option at this point. I think he needs to score behind some serious ice, and I don't know if he has anything. Yeah, so this is a what is this one called? This is not Wendigo, is it?
I think this is
Changeling.
Changeling, right? Which is
Changeling.
really terrible against Faust. It's just 2 cards, and that's a 5-cost piece of ice. Now this is Wendigo.
This is Wendigo. So this is
you
the
can
one
see me
that
reading the
can't
card
use
there.
Programs?
Yeah, I think it's just 1 sub, 4 strength, code gate, 2 to res. Can't use programs. I think he's trying to make me faceplant into Archer, obviously. There's no way I can not break that, so I break it with 2. And then, indeed, there's the Archer that we all thought was there.
So you already spent 4, and you started your turn with, like, 6 at least. So you definitely have enough to get through here.
Yeah, I started my turn with 8 cards in hand, and I double injected, so...
Yeah, okay, yeah.
See, I'm not
this
sure
is
how
what
much,
I was saying, like,
enough.
The only shot he really had was to make you have to spend, like, 14 cards on this run, which double Archer and something like Spiderwebs would get close to.
Right.
But it'll be funny if he did that and like you go down to no cards and then like Neural MP drops. That would be if Andrew was going to win this game. That would be my guess as to how he pulls it off.
How much influence is Neural MP? Is that like?
I think 2.
It's just 2.
Yeah, I think it's totally splashable. It's just it's not high enough impact most of the time to justify. Like it fits so well into PE, but not a lot of other factions can leverage it in that way.
Yeah. And I think you see here that this deck is entirely too decision intensive because it takes me like 10 minutes to decide which cards to discard.
You know what? I'm the same way with my credits. Each credit I have is special to me, and I decide a long time which credit I'm going to spend.
That's right. Which one? So you don't see it there on the film, but I had 4 cards in hand and I took the damage. Andrew knocked out Levy and something else. The other 2 cards I had in hand were I've had worse.
Yeah.
So my strategy backfired pretty badly there.
You still have had a click. You just took a credit because you're outside of any sort of C source or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm up 6-2. That server is not going to be something that I can break into repeatedly without help from David, but. I'm in such good situation that I definitely just need to build and probably find time to do legwork or Maker's Eye, which I discarded in that last run. But that's going to look to be my end game right now, I think, is I need to do a big run to steal that last agenda.
And there's no real way he can keep you out of that remote. So as soon as he installs something that could be an agenda, you just kind of look at those ghost branches and ask, could he have a third? And then you say no, and then you run.
Yeah. A third ghost branch would be really bad news.
Yeah. No, that's probably why you ignore the remote and just go with your plan, which is better. Like multi-access on centrals, just pull an agenda and win.
Yeah. I think if he did install advance in there, I would probably ignore it. Because honestly, at this point, even if he scores a 3-pointer, it's not going to win him the game, and I'm able to counter pressure somewhere else as he spends credits to advance. So.
Yeah, that's something that's worth pointing out here. He just spent like 9 credits? No, more than that, right?
7, and then Archer. Yeah, 9. Because Archer, the 2-credit subroutine fired.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he just dumped his whole economy on that remote, and it didn't even keep you out. So he scores out another hostile. That's where, at this point, another Archer, that gives him a possible scoring window. Like, it's going to be tough, but it's maybe a thing he can do.
Yeah. And we're seeing now that I've almost cycled through my entire deck in 5 turns about. That trope is on 5, right? And I installed it just a turn or 2 before I levied. That double inject really goes through things quickly.
That and probably 20 cards drawn just through the natural cycle of your turn.
Right.
Will do it.
So I am, approaching the second levy and putting myself on a clock. I'm a little bit nervous.
You are, but you're also sitting at 6 points, so... Looks like you're just going to go poke at HQ here.
Yeah, I'm going to take a single access. I still have that imp, which I was actually a little disappointed I didn't get to use it on the legwork earlier. I hit agendas and 0 trash cost assets, right? So my thought is I can poke in there. Maybe I'll hit a Scorched Earth. Maybe I'll hit Sea Source, best case scenario. Instead, I see Beanstalk, which is not the most threatening card, but I'm just going to imp it anyways.
Yeah, that card could make a difference at this point because like if he's gonna throw an archer on top of that server, he's gonna need some money, and Beanstalk is just the right amount of money to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it costs him so much to set up that scoring server that I'm really hoping he'll need to slow down and recover his economy a little bit. It also means that C-Source is offline for the moment. I have a pretty messy credit pile, but
Oh
it
my
looks like I
god!
have
Yeah,
20
I just
something.
looked at how much. That's your money right there.
Yeah, I
You have
played
like
day job like last term.
you have like 20 credits right now.
It's the other thing is it's hard to find ways to spend money with this deck. I like there's no trash costs to pay yet, and I've just
Yeah, but
discarded
that's
cards with
Weyland,
Faust. Yeah, it is.
Oh wow. Okay, so he's signaling here that he doesn't have agendas. He's waiting for them to pop out of R&D.
Yep, and he has that Jackson. He's been digging a little bit. I feel like he must be pretty well set up and feel secure, but I'm not really sure what the next step is here. I'm
I think
probably
this is
like
a
a turn away
good
from levying.
example of like if you don't have some sort of defensive upgrades in your deck, if you're playing against a runner who can pressure your remote every turn relentlessly, your chances of winning go down significantly.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I have him remote locked pretty bad, and this is one of the problems with Weyland generally, right? Is they have to splash for defensive upgrades like Ash or Caprice. They don't really have one in faction. Crisium Grid is great, but it only helps you not lose on a central server, right? It doesn't actually advance your win condition of scoring. So that's just generally a weakness of the faction. And I see that I have a legwork in hand there. I don't think I can risk using it, though, because I have too few cards.
Okay, yeah, I saw you counting your cards up, so I'm guessing you were doing some quick math there, trying to figure out if it was worth it.
Yeah, there's just no way I can do that and possibly hit a snare.
Are you looking at a Maker's Eye, maybe? Same old...
I'm pretty sure I'm levying here.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize you were out of cards there. That is a good play.
Yeah, so I can't
put
allow
down
myself
the David
to sit
just to
without
play
drawing.
it, and then...
Oh, excuse me. What do you say?
I was just saying, you installed the David there to help you get through Archer cheaper. Now that remote is basically offline. Just that one David.
Yep.
Amazing.
Exactly. So I wanted to get that out of my hand before I levied, but I really can't let myself sit without a deck for a turn because that just gives him too wide of a window and lessens up the pressure. So as long as I can continually make sure I'm going through my deck, drawing those 3 cards a turn, I should be able to close this out.
Yeah. You're on a bit of a clock just in the sense that you need to hit an agenda. Like, both centrals are probably pretty tasty at this point. But you really want to hit multi-access to make that happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Just to increase your chances.
And I mean, we're well into the late game here, so I know that the agendas have got to be somewhere. And we see Andrew popping Jackson here, so...
Okay, yeah, that's great. He just put in both Ghost
Yeah,
Branches,
so
and
I'm really not happy with that. And it actually
Yeah.
kind of makes my next decision for me. Now I want to hit R&D, if possible, because I really don't want to play the guessing game in the remote with Ghost Branches.
No, not when you've made it this far. Okay, so he's getting some money. He's sitting at 16 credits now, so that's he's one above you. He's trying to draw for that Ghost Branch, get a little bit more money. Yeah, so let's see. Maybe you'll have that
now
Maker's
the money
Eye.
game is kind of back being a problem there. I'm going to let that trope probably just sit there forever, just in case I need it to act as a pseudo third levy. If I do run out of cards, that trope can maybe buy me just 1 or 2 more turns. It's also, actually, I wasn't thinking of this at the time, but it's doing really good work as power shutdown protection. That would be a pretty risky play for Andrew to do with me on game point, but I think he does have one in hand.
I know he loves that card, so it wouldn't surprise me. So I've
mean,
had worse to draw a few cards.
Yep, looks like I'm digging for something. Maybe I just want to have enough cards in hand to break into something.
So turntable here just to give you memory to install something.
Yep,
Possibly
I think
another
that's
trope.
just for MU. Nope.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm gonna Maker's Eye.
Well, you'll have that for later. All right,
Yeah,
the Archer
I think
being
that was my thought.
he installed that Archer on R&D when he could have put it on the remote.
Yeah, that's true.
This Maker's
I mean, it seems like he hasn't drawn an agenda for a long time, right? Like he was digging with Jackson. It just nothing was happening. So that's why he put it over R&D, kind of telegraphing that that's where they were.
Okay, so this Data Raven, generally a pretty good card here. This late in the game, if you pull an agenda, it's just not going to matter. But so you're boosting and breaking Faust,
Yeah, Data
and
Raven
Spiderweb is going to
usually
take
really
some
annoying.
cards.
Data Raven's usually really annoying, but it's just 2 cards with Faust. Like, it being 4 strength and sitting outside Mimic range is suddenly not as important. So, I'm happy to bust through that. Spiderweb is much more annoying.
You end this turn with 3 cards, if it matters. Oh my god.
Yep.
Snare.
So, I hit a snare.
Unreal.
I've been worrying about this all game, honestly, is the snare. I was like so certain he had them in his deck, obviously.
Luckily, so you have the iPad worse.
Luckily, I have exactly
have
3 in
now.
hand.
Oh,
you 2
see
tags,
the agenda.
and there's the global food.
Oh,
and
there's a couple
one.
agendas there.
Yeah.
Huh?
So
when he had the Ghost Branch in hand.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Yeah, so I was really worried about.
Oh, and he had the Scorch. Yeah, see, you were dead if you didn't pull an agenda there.
Yep, probably. Just seemed
I think
like
so, because I think you
it.
had 1 click left, right?
Yeah, I did. I had 1 click, and I had those 2 tags. That was probably quite risky.
Yeah, so it was, you did see 2 agendas there on the Maker's Eye, so you were going to win. But if you didn't, he would have won that.
Yeah. It was risky, but I had the correct read that the agendas were in R&D. That definitely, like, the board state and the way Andrew had been drawing kind of communicated that to me. So the other thing that...
you definitely made the right call. And also, I don't think I would have predicted a snare at that point, right? You just hadn't seen one the whole game, and...
Yeah, and I had seen, like, a few influence here and there, too. But not a lot. Mostly just those Ghost Branches.
Yeah, Ghost Branch must be 1 influence. That would be my guess.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty low.
And the snare is just 2, right?
Yes, 2. And it's like, it makes sense in Argus to me for some reason. It really fits into click taxing, and, just Weyland in general loves it because it stops you from running last click.
I mean, it's great multi-axis punishment. Imagine if that was earlier in the game and you hit that. He would have just won the game probably.
Yeah, there was a time really early on when I had that imp and was running into HQ. I decided to run with 2 cards in hand, knowing that snare was a possibility. Managed to live, so obviously it worked out, but that's the sort of thing that it makes you second guess and makes you play a lot careful.
And yeah, snare is so good against Faust too, because I mean, so that somewhat explains that Archer play to me now. If he knew, oh, I have a couple snares in R&D, I've seen Maker's Eye already a couple times, I know it's coming, and so he installs Archer above R&D just to get those cards out of your hand so that snare opens up as a possibility.
Yeah, for sure.
No, well played. I mean, that's a win condition in his deck that he knew that was there, and he was, I think he kind of identified that the remote was looking dire, so he put Ghost Branch back in to threaten that, and snare was sitting there ready to do some work.
Yep.
All right, that was really great. That was fun to commentate that game and see that game from one perspective, and then know that by the end of it that Andrew was actually setting up towards plays that could have won them the game. Of course, depending on a lot of luck to get him there, but he did have an out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was on a clock there. It was pretty tough.
But you certainly played that well. With all the information you had.
Yeah. One thing that I think is interesting about that game, so that was I was doing a lot of running. I wasn't sitting around doing DLR or anything. I didn't spend a single credit to break a subroutine during that entire game. Because my breaker suite was Yogg, Faust, and David.
Oh, because you do have Corroder in the deck. You just never installed it.
I do have Corroder. I'm I don't think I had Mimic. Most of my lists have of this same similar build have Mimic now too, but
I see.
the whole time just didn't spend a single credit.
Yeah, so if you hit a swordsman hypothetically in that version of the deck, what would deal with that?
That version had no answer to Swordsman.
Sure.
I didn't have Parasite or anything, yeah, which is probably a bad idea. Swordsman doesn't see a whole ton of play, but it's probably going to see a lot more because I expect that these decks that abuse Faust and try to do Wildside Chronotype and a ton of card draw are going to become super popular post MWL.
Yeah, that's yet to be seen, but I can certainly see how that would happen. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I don't think I would, if you're playing that in a tournament, I don't think I would slot Mimic just for swordsmen. But yeah, it's interesting to see that, like, yeah, you didn't have an answer to that. If he had swordsman in front of that remote, like, he would just score every agenda and win. But
Yep,
he
that would
didn't
just
slot the
be
card. So
game over, or at least I can't run that server anymore. So
yeah, exactly. You would still have play, but yeah. All right. Yeah, thanks for commentating.
yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, and yeah, that was an entertaining game. That was fun to watch. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll have more up on the channel very soon.